Have you ever felt like your entire life was built on a lie? Michael Carter's voice cracked with a mix of anger and despair as he stared out over the city lights of Seattle, the weight of years pressing down on his chest like a crushing storm. Every breath felt heavy, every memory a sharp blade cutting through the fragile peace he thought he had found. His world, once filled with power and certainty, had shattered into fragments he barely recognized. The betrayal, the secrets, the loss, they clawed relentlessly at his soul. But this was only the beginning, because what Michael discovered next wasn't just another family secret. It was a truth so raw, so devastating, that it threatened to unravel everything he thought he knew about love, loyalty, and himself. If you stay with me, I promise you will witness a revelation so shocking it will shake the very foundation of this story and change everything forever. Brace yourself for a journey into heartbreak, hope, and the fierce fight for redemption. This isn't just a story about a lost family. It's a story about finding light in the darkest places, no matter the cost. Before dawn broke over Seattle, Emma was already awake. At 12 years old, she knew all too well that falling asleep on the cold streets meant risking everything. She curled up on the tattered cardboard she used as a bed, tucked away behind an alley of dumpsters in one of the city's forgotten neighborhoods. Hunger gnawed at her. She hadn't eaten since a kind woman handed her half a sandwich the day before at a traffic light. But hunger was nothing new. Survival was the only game she knew. As the faint glow of morning light edged between towering buildings, Emma folded her cardboard carefully. It was her most precious possession. With cautious steps, she made her way toward Fifth Avenue, the street where the first cars began to stir, and the scent of fresh bakery bread teased her senses. Emma tried to stay on the fringes, knowing well that getting too close to the bakery's door would earn her nothing but a sharp rebuke or worse. She stood at her usual corner, softly holding out her hand to the drivers halted at the stoplight. "Just a little spare change, please," she murmured. Most passed without a glance. Some tossed her a coin or two, but a few muttered insults she'd learned to ignore. 2 hours passed, and she managed to scrape together just enough for a meager breakfast, a small roll, and a juice from the corner store where the clerk never turned her away. Her curiosity pushed her farther than usual that morning. Emma wandered into a quieter part of town, a neighborhood with clean sidewalks and neatly trimmed lawns, so unlike the streets she called home. Her ragged clothes and tangled hair made her feel like an intruder, but she pressed on, drawn by an unknown pull. At the end of a narrow side street, she took a shortcut through a dimly lit alley. Her footsteps slowed when she heard a dull thud, followed by an eerie silence. Peering into the shadows, she froze. There, sprawled against a pile of discarded boxes, lay a man in a once expensive suit, stained and torn blood smeared across his forehead. His breathing was shallow pain etched across his pale face. Most kids in Emma's shoes would have run the other way, but something about this man stopped her. Maybe it was the sound of his labored breaths, or a flicker of desperation she recognized from her own nights spent alone. She knelt beside him and whispered, "Sir, are you okay?" His eyes fluttered open, clouded with confusion and agony. He tried to speak, but only faint sounds escaped. Desperation surged in Emma's chest. She glanced around frantically. No phone, no help in sight. Then she remembered the small store a few blocks away. Without hesitation, she ran for help, heart pounding. Breathless, she begged the store owner to let her use the phone. The man hesitated, wary of a street kid, but seeing the urgency in her eyes, he relented. The call to 911 was made and Emma raced back. The man was still there, eyes open now, watching her. "Help is coming," she assured him. He whispered something, a name, Sarah. Emma had no idea what that meant, but the weight of the word hung heavy in the cold morning air. Paramedics arrived swiftly, lifting the man onto a stretcher. One of them asked Emma if he was a relative. "No, I just found him," she replied quietly. As the ambulance doors closed, Emma felt a strange mix of relief and fear. She was alone again, but something inside her had shifted. Meanwhile, Michael Carter stirred awake in a sterile hospital room. The harsh smell of disinfectant filled the air, and a pounding headache made his head feel like it was about to split open. He tried to sit up, but a gentle hand stopped him. "Take it easy, Mr. Carter," the nurse said softly. "You had a serious fall." As memories slowly pieced themselves together, the failed meeting, the tension with investors, the walk to clear his mind, Michael felt the weight of his pain and confusion. He was a man used to control a self-made billionaire whose empire towered over the city like the skyscrapers he built. Yet here he was, helpless and broken. When the social worker visited, Michael's eyes were drawn to the mention of a young girl named Emma, a street child who had stayed by his side until help arrived. The revelation struck him like a thunderclap. How had this scrappy kid saved the life of a man like him? The thought was both humbling and unsettling. Later that day, a relentless urge stirred within Michael. He couldn't shake the mysterious name Emma, whispered Sarah, the woman he had loved and lost years ago. The woman who vanished, leaving behind unanswered questions and a hollow ache in his heart. The past clawed its way to the surface, and with it came a gnawing guilt. How could a girl like Emma, dirty alone, fighting to survive, be tied to him? Could she be the missing piece of his fractured past? That evening, Michael stood on the balcony of his penthouse, the city lights sparkling beneath him. Far below, the streets where Emma roamed looked like a world away from his polished life. The contrast made his stomach twist. He felt exposed, vulnerable. For the first time in years, Michael questioned everything he thought he knew. And Emma. She clung to her meager belongings in the alley, unaware that the life she had known was about to collide with a past she never imagined. Thank you for staying with us through this first chapter of Emma and Michael's journey. Their story is just beginning, full of secret struggles and choices that will challenge everything they believe in. Before we continue, we want to ask, what would you do if you were in Michael's shoes, facing a past you tried to forget, and a child who might be your last chance at redemption? If this story has touched your heart, please show your support by liking this video and dropping a heart in the comments. Your encouragement means the world to us and helps keep these stories alive. The days that followed Michael Carter's awakening were a whirlwind of memories, doubts, and unsettling discoveries. His mind was a storm, fragments of the past clashing with the sharp realities of the present. The hospital room, sterile and quiet, became a battleground where ghosts of old wounds surfaced. Sarah Bennett. The name whispered in his ear like a ghost. She was the woman he once loved fiercely, the woman who disappeared without a trace 12 years ago. And now Michael was told she had been confined in Evergreen Psychiatric Clinic for nearly a decade. The revelation was a blow, cold and merciless. He sat by the window staring out at the gray skyline of Seattle, trying to make sense of a life that had been built on secrets and half-truths. How had it come to this? A man who had everything: power, money, influence, now wrestling with the possibility that his own flesh and blood was out there, somewhere, surviving against all odds. His lawyer, Daniel, was the bearer of grim news. Michael, you need to brace yourself. The situation with Sarah is more complicated than you think. And there are forces, people who want to keep the past buried. Michael clenched his fists. Who could want to hide the truth? Why, the answer came quicker than he expected. His own family. His older brother, James Carter, was a man Michael had always regarded with a mix of resentment and suspicion. Now James was revealed to be part of the conspiracy to erase Sarah from their lives, to protect the family name, the empire, at any cost. Michael's mind reeled as Daniel laid out the chilling details: threats, bribes, and a shadowy network that ensured Sarah's silence and disappearance. They'd even paid for her care at Evergreen, but in secrecy. The weight of betrayal settled deep into Michael's bones. But worse was yet to come. There was the child, Emma. Michael's heart ached in ways he hadn't thought possible. The streetwise girl who saved his life, the girl who seemed to carry Sarah's eyes and spirit, might be his daughter. The realization stirred a tempest of hope, fear, and responsibility. He found himself torn between two worlds. The empire he'd built demanded his full attention, yet his heart pulled him relentlessly toward the child living in the shadows of the streets he ruled. One evening, as the city lights flickered below, Michael faced the cruelest choice of his life. A lucrative offer landed on his desk, a multi-million-dollar deal to sell his company and walk away from the tangled mess of the past. But the price was steep: abandon, the search for Sarah and Emma forever. Sitting alone in his office, Michael's thoughts spiraled. Wealth and power, or the chance to reclaim a lost family, success or redemption. He thought of Emma's resilient face, the quiet strength in her eyes despite all she'd endured. He remembered the whispered name Sarah, heavy with pain and love. His hands trembled as he reached for his phone. The decision wasn't easy. Meanwhile, Emma's world was shifting in ways she never imagined. At the Safe Haven Children's Foundation, she reluctantly began to let Michael into her guarded life. He volunteered regularly, slowly earning the trust of children and staff alike. But Emma was different, strong-willed and distant, shaped by years of hardship. One afternoon, a guitar was offered to her, a simple gesture from Mrs. Thompson, the kind director. Emma hesitated, but as the other children played, a familiar melody stirred within her. Her fingers found the strings, and she sang a haunting, raw voice filled with sorrow and beauty. Michael watched from afar, his breath caught in his throat. The voice was unmistakable. It was Sarah's voice echoing through Emma's song. In that moment, he felt a connection deeper than blood. Yet amid the hope, fear lingered. Could he truly open his heart to Emma? Could she forgive the years of absence and silence? And what of Sarah, lost in the labyrinth of her mind, trapped in memories too painful to face? Michael's nights were restless, haunted by dreams of what was and what could have been. The past and future collided, forcing him to confront his darkest regrets. Every step forward was shadowed by doubt. His internal battle raged. Could a man who built walls around his heart learn to tear them down for the chance at family? As tensions mounted, the family's fractures threatened to shatter everything. James confronted Michael, warning him to stay away from the street kid and the broken woman in Evergreen. The line between ally and enemy blurred, and Michael realized the fight was not just for his family's future, but for their very souls. In a moment of quiet resolve, Michael reached out to Emma. "I'm not going anywhere," he told her softly, "no matter how hard it gets." Emma, wary but touched, nodded. The road ahead was uncertain and steep, but for the first time in years, hope flickered like a fragile flame. Thank you for being with us as we uncover the tangled truths and heart-wrenching choices that bind Michael and Emma. Their journey is far from over. Now we want to hear from you. If you were Michael, would you sacrifice your empire to reclaim a family lost to time? Or would the weight of responsibility to your business hold you back? Please leave your thoughts in the comments below. And if this story moved you, show your support by liking this video and sending us some love. Your encouragement keeps these stories alive and brings us all closer. The journey toward healing was never simple, and for Michael, Emma, and Sarah, the days that followed Sarah's return home were filled with both fragile hope and daunting challenges. The woman who had been lost within the sterile walls of Evergreen Psychiatric Clinic was no longer the vibrant Sarah Bennett Michael had once known. She was a fragile soul, a puzzle of memories fragmented and scattered by years of pain. Michael watched her closely, sometimes with a smile of encouragement, other times with quiet worry. Each day brought small victories, a moment of lucidity here, a smile there. But there were also days when Sarah slipped away again, caught in the grip of confusion, lost in shadows of forgotten time. Those moments were the hardest, not just for Sarah, but for Michael and Emma, who had to find new depths of patience and love. Their house in the outskirts of Seattle had become a sanctuary, a place where healing could begin away from the judgment and cold streets Emma once roamed. It was surrounded by towering pines, its windows wide open to catch the light and the breeze. Michael spared no expense to make it a home for Sarah, installing security systems to keep her safe, hiring specialists to care for her, and filling it with warmth where silence and fear once lived. Emma had become a quiet force in this new family, her tough exterior softened by the steady presence of a home and a mother to care for. She had inherited Sarah's eyes, deep, dark, full of secrets, and a voice that could move mountains, as Michael had witnessed at the Safe Haven Center when she sang for the first time. One afternoon, as golden rays spilled into the garden, Michael stepped outside to find Sarah and Emma planting flowers together. Sarah's hands trembled slightly as she dug small holes in the earth, her movements tentative but determined. Emma knelt beside her, guiding her gently. The simple act of planting flowers was a powerful metaphor, nurturing life, patience, hope. "Flowers need time," Sarah whispered, her voice soft but steady, "just like us." Emma smiled, the kind of smile that came from deep inside, a rare and beautiful thing. Michael felt a swell of pride and relief. They were growing slowly but surely, yet the past was never far behind. One afternoon, Michael received a call that sent a chill down his spine. An old family adversary, resentful and bitter, was stirring up trouble, leaking secrets, stirring suspicions. The fragile peace they had built was at risk. Michael and Sarah faced this threat side by side, no longer just a man and a woman haunted by the past, but a family united. They confronted the betrayal, protecting each other with newfound strength and determination. Through it all, Emma was a beacon of hope. At night, in the quiet sanctuary of her room, she poured her heart onto paper, writing letters to the little girl she once was, the one who slept on cardboard and dreamed of safety. In those letters, she promised to never forget her journey, to hold tight to the resilience that had carried her through, and to help others who still wandered in the darkness. Michael watched from the doorway, moved beyond words by the courage and compassion of the young girl who had become his daughter. Time passed, and with it came a rhythm, a delicate dance of progress and setbacks, tears and laughter, hope and fear. Michael found himself cherishing the everyday moments more than the grand successes of his past shared breakfasts. Soft laughter echoing through the halls, the simple joy of being together. Sarah's recovery was slow but steady. With the help of therapy and love, pieces of her past began to fall into place, like the blooming flowers in their garden. She relearned how to be a mother, how to find joy in the little things, how to embrace the family she had fought so long to find. Emma thrived in the safety of their home, her fierce independence softened by the knowledge she was loved and protected. Her music filled the house, a testament to survival and hope. One crisp autumn evening, as the sun dipped behind the distant mountains and Seattle's lights shimmered like stars, the family gathered in the living room. Emma's fingers danced across the strings of her guitar, filling the space with a song of healing melodies that told stories of loss, love, and second chances. Michael leaned back on the sofa, tears glistening in his eyes. Sarah rested her head gently on his shoulder, fragile but undeniably strong. The room was quiet except for the music, a perfect moment of peace. They were far from perfect. The scars of their past remained visible and invisible, memories that refused to fade. But they had chosen each other, chosen to fight, chosen to heal, and that made all the difference. In the weeks that followed, their bond deepened. Michael found a new purpose, not in boardrooms or business deals, but in being present, truly present, with Sarah and Emma. The empire he'd built felt smaller than the family he was building now. Emma's dreams blossomed too. She shared with Michael her vision of opening a shelter for children like herself, a place where they would be safe, loved, and free to be children. It was a dream born from pain but fueled by hope. Sarah, growing stronger every day, embraced the role of mother she had feared she lost forever. The trio became a family not just by blood or circumstance, but by choice, by love. As we close this chapter on Michael, Emma, and Sarah, we invite you to reflect. What does family mean to you when life isn't perfect? Have you ever faced a choice between holding on to the past or stepping boldly into the future? How did you find your way? We're eager to hear your thoughts. Please tell us what you think about this story. If it touched your heart, comment number 3 below. If you think it could be improved, comment number 1. And if you found it just okay, comment number 2. Let us know which country you're watching from, and don't forget to like, share, and send your love. Your support keeps these stories alive and reminds us all that healing and hope are always within reach. Thank you for being part of this journey.